Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. 2 videos ago, we talked about tapering antidepressants. In this video, we will talk about tapering antipsychotics. So we'll get started with the video and the presentation right now. The first thing you do is you should hyperbolically taper like you do antidepressants. Fast taper at the start, very slow taper at the end. Alternatively, you can do 10% increments with a slower taper towards the end. Again, it's harder to discontinue towards the end of the taper, so you may need to continue taking a little bit of your medication for the rest of your life. It's important to avoid alcohol, drugs. It's important to avoid blood sugar spikes, exciting movies, coffee, anything that gets your system excited can break out into incorrect and psychotic thinking potentially. It is recommended 1 month of taper per year on an antipsychotic. Consider appointing a friend as a safety monitor, so if you don't notice yourself thinking illogically, your friend might notice that, and you can have a pre-agreed agreement that you'll heed their advice if they ask you to do something for your safety. A lack of sleep is a bad sign. Might indicate you should raise your dose again. Reductions should be made mostly on how you feel. So if you feel like you can tolerate a reduction, or if you're potentially also if your healthcare provider thinks that, but it's really based on how you feel. If you feel you can tolerate it, then you can give it a try. Medical supports for tapering. So you do a hyperbolic taper, but over 1 month for each year on an antipsychotic. And I'll give you an example of a hyperbolic taper in a second. But first I'll mention some supplements you can take that make the tapering more likely to succeed. So True Hope offers a micronutrient multivitamin that allows increases recovery odds. They also offer amino acids, which are important for withdrawal symptoms, and emergent tergov dyskinesia, and brain zaps and other withdrawal symptoms you can get. They also offer phosphatidylcholine, which reduces the hyperactive brain, and inositol, which lowers panic scores if you start to panic. And fish oil is also recommended. And the combination of all of these different things, the multivitamin, the amino acids, the phosphatidylcholine, the inositol, and the fish oil, all of that allows about 70% of people to taper successfully to approximately 1 milligram haloperidol equivalents. And about only about 44% of people needed medication, versus about 75% who were not on the True Hope protocol. So it's about a 35% increase in absolute numbers in successfully withdrawing. If you take the multivitamin and the amino acids are the two big ones. And fish oil is also quite helpful. It is recommended to have extra medication on hand. So if you have a flare-up, if you start thinking sideways, you can take an extra medication. Alternatively, you can take some CBD oil if you do not have access to an antipsychotic. CBD oil is actually just as effective as the second most effective overall antipsychotic. So, abrupt discontinuation is not recommended. It led to relapse in 77% of patients. Stopping over 1 to 2 weeks led to relapse in 57% of patients. and over longer than 10 weeks led to a relapse of only 31% of patients who were on antipsychotics. Turgor dyskinesia is a withdrawal side effect. You can check out my TD video. I'll link that up there. Important to be active physically and eat healthy. Social supports also help. Friends, family, church, sports. Just general health is important to help get yourself off antipsychotics or any medication. Getting off antipsychotics allows most schizophrenics to resume their lives in a more outwardly productive way. So your health should improve once you get off antipsychotics, and hopefully you'll be more likely to get into paid employment or to start a family or something along those lines. Here's some examples of hyperbolic decreases. This is D2 occupancy, this left column, and haloperidol dose. You can see how the D2 occupancy and the haloperidol dose change at different rates. So a very little bit of medication equals quite a lot of D2 occupancy, whereas at the higher doses, the D2 occupancy per milligram decreases, but per milligram at the lower doses, it's a higher D2 occupancy, and that's basically because the receptors get saturated with the medication. So the medication per each additional bit of medication at higher doses, the effect is less extreme than at lower doses. The right graph shows haloperidol, risperidone, olanzapine, clozapine, emulsipride, and examples of a 10-step decrease from 90% dopamine occupancy to 0% dopamine occupancy. This is an example of how tapering went for antidepressants using hyperbolic tapers, so it's not directly applicable to antipsychotics, but it's an example how tapering on the left how tapering helps. So tapering without tapering is the graphs on the left, where there was great difficulty getting off the medication, and on the right is tapering at a hyperbolic taper over a 2-month period, and the example shows that the graphs show that the tapering goes much smoother if you do a hyperbolic taper instead of quitting cold turkey. So I recommend you use the therapeutic tips from my blog and this channel, among other sources, to get you in the mental state where drug reduction becomes a possibility. Recovery is possible. Recovery is likely. So I do think the majority of people should be able to get off their antipsychotics successfully using tips from my blog and tips in this video. There are a couple other providers that focus on drug withdrawal and holistic treatments. There's the IIPDW.org, there's taperingstrip.com, there's Lyle Murphy from Alternative to Meds, and he actually tapers his patients. He got 75.7% successfully off antipsychotics, and he uses many of the methods I've shared on my channel and in my blog, and you can call his center if you want. And then there is IMMH.org, ICAM.org. Some of these are groups of psychiatrists that are focused on integrative or orthomolecular psychiatry. There's isum.ca, psychiatryredefined.org, which is run by James Greenblatt, who's fantastic. I also recommend Eva Edelman's book, Natural Healing for Schizophrenia, which is another fantastic resource for getting off antipsychotics and healing yourself from schizophrenia. So that is the video. I hope you learned something. Using the tips in this video and the tips from my blog. So you have to build the groundwork to recover from schizophrenia. Vitamin B3. I will be doing another video about a drug-free recovery from schizophrenia. So basically you have to do the steps in a drug-free recovery from schizophrenia, and then you have to slowly taper your medication. Once again, it's you should have about a 75.7% chance of succeeding if you follow best practices, like Lyle does at Alternative to Meds, and like I try to also embody on this channel. So thank you for watching. Please like, share, subscribe, drop a comment, and hopefully you glean some useful information. And I wish you, once again, the absolute best. Have a great day and take care. Bye for now.